Hi, and welcome to Noise Violation Podcast. Today we have a law of attraction expert, Miss Ginny Gane, what curate the future, live your truth. The website Live Your Truth. She is the owner, operator of a blog, podcast, and consultant. Welcome to the show, Ginny.
I love it. Great introduction, Blake. Thanks so much. Happy to be here. Are you liking the podcast life so far?
I'm very new to it, and so I'm a little rough around the edges. So I'm working to smooth out everything. So
Yeah. Best way, just do it.
yeah, just do it. And
yeah. Same way we started ours. I have a podcast, Manifest It Now. And when we started it, my co-host asked me, she's like, hey, do you want to start a podcast? Just talk about law of attraction. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds kind of uncomfortable. And now we love it. It's been the best thing ever.
So is that your main niche, law of attraction? Do you talk to other guests, or are they mainly focused on the law of attraction?
Yeah, so my podcast co-host is Cassie Parks, and we don't really have a lot of guests on our show. We just have like a very natural, easy discussion that goes back and forth, and people really love it. And it's cool to see how we've been doing it for almost 5 years now. And over time, how our discussions have progressed and based on like what is being asked and how we're growing in our own lives and just the depth and the understanding of LOA. You know, how it LOA, or law of attraction, for those who aren't in the
you might need
world.
to explain that to my audience. What is the basic principle or sentences that you can give for law of attraction?
So law of attraction is like a universal law, like the law of gravity, right? So it's always there, it's always present, it's always working. And this law is, instead of keeping you on the ground, this law is all about like attracting like. Okay, so and I want people to think of it in like energy terms. So it's like energy is drawn together. And if you just think about it like that, then you kind of understand it, because some of the misconceptions out there about it are more along the lines like, think positive and you're going to have a great life. And that's a great place to start. Yes, like thinking positive is an important part, but it is certainly not the essence or the core of it. And so, yeah, I'm sure we'll get into that.
Yeah. And excuse me. And so you've been doing it for 5 years.
Podcasts. Yeah. I think I started my business 6 years ago now.
And so have you seen, from my standpoint, it seems like I see a lot more law of attraction stuff. I don't know if I'm attracting it or
that is part of it. What do you know? Like, what's your experience of it, or what do you know of it?
Kind of like The Secret.
Yeah.
I've watched The Secret, and it's more of the inspirational kind of business gurus talk about it.
That's the coolest thing. It's like in everything, whether someone's using the words law of attraction, they're like, make sure to visualize, make sure to feel your goal before it happens. That's all law of attraction. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, write out your $1 million check before you actually even have it, or act like you have it, and then it'll come to you. So is the market growing? Is it becoming more widespread?
I mean, from my perspective, and again, it could be because I'm in this, and so that's my world. It feels like, I believe like our world is shifting, especially right now, right? During all of this, like we have this opportunity to awaken. So when all of a sudden so much is out of our control, we're like, where do we go? How do we get our groundedness? How do we know who we are? And it's almost like we're forced to look inside. And so the more and more people that are understanding, hey, I have some power here. I have a responsibility to myself, and like I have some control in my life, then yes, I think that market is growing, because the more and more people are waking up to understand that they have some power in this, in being able to create the life they want. Yeah.
And so when people come to work with you, what's the main topic that they're trying to attract?
I get mostly attract the love of their life or the career of their dreams. So a lot of people are working in places that are just okay. So some of, I guess you could call it a niche-ish, but is like this idea that life is good, but I feel like there's more for me. You know, like I feel like life is supposed to be better than this. And what's this secret? Why do people have, some people have everything that they want? And why is it like a career that's like fulfilling and aligned with their purpose and that kind of feeling? So I would say 99% of the people that come to me have that desire within them to like, I want to live this life fully. I want to reach my potential, you know?
Yeah. And so for the people who don't have that love of their life, that relationship that they're kind of chasing after, what's keeping them from gaining that or attaining that or attracting that into their life?
Specifically with love, you mean?
Right.
Yeah. Well, how I teach everything and talk about it is about you aligning with you. So it's much more about you taking care of yourself and becoming, I call it in alignment. So you become in alignment with yourself, which just means you're living your life based on what's important for you versus trying to change for this person or make this person happy. Like you have to uncover, like, what is it? Who are you? What do you want? And when you make choices and think thoughts that are honoring that, then you're going to align with that person, with that love that's going to be a match to that. Right. So if someone, like, I'll give you a more specific example. If someone's feeling really insecure and they're not like they don't feel worthy in their life, or they don't even know what they want, then that kind of, when we're talking about law of attraction, that has a vibration, like a frequency of vibration. And so because like attracts like, you're going to attract someone into your life that is on that same kind of level. Now, the fulfilling, outrageous, amazing love doesn't exist on that vibrational level of insecurity or jealousy or any of those kind of things, right? So, but what most of us do is we try to find a person or someone else that will make us feel confident. So we try to like use them as our excuse, but it just never works. So we have to take responsibility for how we feel in our own vibration in order to be able to find that match. Does that make sense? So like when we get to that level, then the law of attraction can bring us someone at the same level.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I interviewed a psychologist and he said one of the main problems people have is they don't love themselves enough. So
I mean, it's at the core of everything. And it's one of those things though, right? Like people are like, okay, fine. How do I love myself more? It's like, it's not even just what you say to yourself. It's this, the biggest thing I think in, you know, there's a lot of people doing law of attraction stuff out there, but unless you're tuned into the emotional part of it, the like beingness part, the biggest part. So like I can say loving things to myself, but unless I'm feeling that connection or that love to myself, I'm not going to actually be getting it.
Right. It's like like what you're saying, in alignment with your mind and your body and the thoughts you're thinking and actually feeling those thoughts and radiating those. And then, you know, other people see that. Other people will see it and then be attracted to you because you are living your dream, and then you are the person you want to be. And
it goes along with like, so why I name my company Live Your Truth is just because I feel like every person on this planet has a unique something to offer this world, and that's their truth. And we're so taught to like, and conditioned to be the same and go down this path. And we're taught that like this way is the right way, you know, all these societal conditioning. And so living your truth is really about breaking free of all these limiting beliefs and thoughts that you've learned unconsciously. Like there's no fault or there's no blame. We are where we are, and we can blame our parents. That's the best thing. But it's like learning how to live your path, your own path, and stay true to that.
And for people who are off the path and don't even know there's a path, how do you get them to, come to their truth and find their purpose? What are some things that you tell people?
Well, one of the biggest thing that's kind of core to how I teach and coach is that I don't actually know the answers for people. That's all. I just am helping guide them to their own knowing. So if someone, like when you ask that question, if someone doesn't even know they're off the path, then they're not ready for any change. Because we want to be, how you know you're ready for something is when you're asking those questions. Like, can I have a more fulfilling life? Like, can it get better than this? And like having that desire within themselves first. That's like a great starting point. And then once, and this is how LOA works, once you start acknowledging that those questions within you, you'll start getting answers because now you're open to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the biggest thing that, and is where I start with everyone, is paying attention to how you feel. So how you're emotionally responding to life, right? Because one of gaining control and taking responsibility of your creation, right? So I love how you said radiating, because it's like we're radiating this energy out into the world, and the universe, or however you want to term it, is responding back to you, giving you that same stuff back. So if we can learn, and you 100% can, to manage or control the energy that you're putting out, that's how you get to influence and control what's coming back, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so how we interpret humans, how we interpret energy is through our emotions. So if we observe something and we have this negative anger emotion or anything, that's the energy we're putting out into the world. And the law of attraction is going to respond by bringing something or someone that's a match to that anger back to us. And then we're like, why is this person such an a-hole? And it's like, oh, because I guess I was angry from this other thing, and I was like putting that out. And so the biggest thing, and where we start, is with an awareness of what you are putting out. Because you can't go anywhere until you have that, until you know what you are putting out there.
And is there a way to increase that awareness?
Yes, absolutely. Pay attention. So awareness is one of those things to teach, because, and actually so many things are in this because they're so sometimes intangible. But it's super, super simple. It's like you just notice when you have an emotion, and then why. Like, okay, so because we can't ignore our emotions. We're going to notice when we're happy or when we're sad or whatever, when we're in love, when we're angry. And if the emotion will be intense enough that we might not notice the little ones, or that comes later on, the more fine-tuned we get into noticing, into our self-awareness. But we know when we're not in a good mood or when we're in a great mood. So then we just start paying attention and observing what's going on within us.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So let's, we did the relationship. How about the career, the person who is working in a job they don't like, and they know they don't like it, but they want to switch, or even they're, burning out with their current job, but they're not sure if they want to switch. How do you talk to people about their career and whether
there's so many good things.
Just need to suck it up and work, or, hop
Definitely not. Definitely not. Well, you know what? Some people might view it like that it's a part of that, but we have to remember. So one of my, we can't create or attract effortlessly our dream job or dream career if we're in the vibration of like frustration and hate and poor me, right? That makes sense, right? Like this vibration is here, the dream job is up here, they just don't match. So we have to find a way, if you want to leverage the law of attraction, and when you are leveraging your energy, you have a gazillion times more power to create. and life is easier. It happens quicker, smoother. It's more fun. It's more enjoyable, and you get just more of the things you want. So I don't know why anyone wouldn't want to know this stuff. It just takes, true. Yeah, exactly. It takes life up to the next level. So into really simple terms, we can't attract this vibration from down here, right? So we have to find a way to focus in order to move our vibration about our job up here. Now, this is what gets tricky, because people are like, I can't like my job. I hate it. And that's one of the biggest, go ahead.
Right. It's like, I can't vibrate that high until I get that job or something.
Exactly.
Right?
Waiting for the thing to feel that way. So if someone is waiting for the money to be able to relax, waiting for the job to feel successful, waiting for the relationship to feel loved, you're missing it. We got to find a way to take, because you are being a reactor to life conditions versus a responder. So you're just being a victim to whatever happens in your life. You're not really choosing or being deliberate. And so coming back to the career and the job example is that, most people try to jump. They try to go from like, I can't love my job when I hate it, Ginny. And they will say these things to me like, you expect me to love my job? I have to go drive this. I have these awful people. And I'm like, you have the power to change your perspective. And we can't go this is where most people, no one fails, but most people struggle with this, is they try to go to jump from hate to love. What if it just wasn't hate? What if it was just like frustration? What if it was like, well, at least I have a job kind of thing. So we have the power to incrementally shift our vibration. And that's where the power is. And that's what we want, right? So in the case of a job, this is where focusing on what's positive comes in. And so finding actually the parts of work that are enjoyable. Like there's a reason we work, and it's generally to get a paycheck so we can afford our lifestyles, and even if that's the only thing we start to focus on, we will start to build and transition our vibration to be closer to that dream job. And then once you raise a little bit, you'll attract something else that comes in that is closer to that. So then you're like, oh yeah, I guess I feel really good. And I was able to take that week off work. That's nice. I get paid to not, so you start to like, because you're raising your vibration, you start to attract more ideas about why it's good. And one of the things I want to just make sure to share is that say if there's 10 things in your life, so 10 things in your life, and 9 of them are going awful. That's going bad, that's going bad, but one thing is going well. That's enough to shift your vibration to start getting things going in the right direction. But it is just having the desire and making that choice that I'm going to keep my focus on that one thing long enough that it will draw in something else.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I like the long timeline, it's not instant. You got to work at it and actually focus on it and take baby steps to, reach your goals. But, that's what makes it worth it, because if you just got everything you wanted instantly, then you probably wouldn't enjoy it.
What fun is that?
Yeah.
I always use this example with my clients of how, if they're coming wanting, the relationship, and, we get on the phone and I'm like, so how would it feel if, the guy knocked on your door tomorrow and said, would you marry me? And they were like, no, I don't want that. I want the courting, I want the dating, and I want it all in perfect time. I'm like, exactly. So because it's like the unfoldment of time that's most satisfying to us, that journey there. That's why we're here. It's kind of like where you're at right now, like starting your podcast and like having this desire of where it's going to grow, really enjoying this part
Right.
of it.
Yeah, it's all new and exciting to me, and it's like, I don't even know what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah, you're not. That's the best part. When Cassie and I started ours, it was very much like, when you take the intention of joy into it, right? That is very LOA, because you're carrying that into the actions. And so you're going to get a response that matches more of what you want.
Right. It's almost like, it's just, I want to do this, so I don't care almost if it's right or wrong. It's just something that I want to do to try and better myself, and then better the people around me and the people following me. It's kind of like an osmosis thing. If I do it and put myself out there, then the people looking at me or are close to me can do things too. It's like almost permission or something.
And it's very LOA. I mean, you're leading by example, right? And so people are going to feel that energy. When I got your the email from your girlfriend, and she said, would you like to help him achieve his dreams? I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I would love. Because I know the fulfillment of that.
That's awesome. And so, I mean, you're kind of similar to me, as you're living your dream, living your truth, I should say, and putting yourself out there and being a leader. But also you have people around you who you see so much potential in, that aren't as aware or confident or think they can do it. How do you talk to those people, or do you try to, shift them? It's like, you just see them going down the wrong way, and how do you help them?
Oh, I love this question. So I actually don't try to help them, because, and I'll tell you why. I used to be someone that tried to do that, would see other people's on what I perceived as the wrong path, or going down a bad path. And then through this work, I realized that I don't know what's best for everyone. So that's one of those things that, as you evolve in this, you realize that there's so many right answers. Okay. And so living life in alignment is about that person honoring their path. And we don't know what that is. Nobody knows what is right for us other than us. And so for me to say, you should be different, and you shouldn't be doing that to someone else, that's the opposite of upliftment. That's the opposite of inspiring, because I'm seeing them from a place of wrongness or weakness, or something, that they're doing something wrong, versus I could have the perception of them that is, wow, you're exactly where you need to be. And I trust that. And when we think of being on the other side of this, so energetically I could get into, but if we think about being on the other side of this, when we feel off, or we know we're not where we want to be in our life or something, we know that. We don't need someone else to tell us that, and have that pressure. What we need is someone holding that space for our potential. Okay. So imagine the difference of, like, even like as an entrepreneur, following your passions, like talking to someone, your friends, being surrounded by people that are like, yeah, you can do it. Yeah, that's a great idea. Keep following that one. Or I believe you can do it, versus, shouldn't you think of this? Shouldn't you think of this? What about this option? Like, what is more supportive to your well-being, to your dreams coming true? It's those people that hold the space. And so that's one of and this happens a lot in my clients too, because they start to learn this, they're feeling great, their lives are awesome. And then they're like, oh, but this negative person is around me. And oh, my daughter's not doing that right. Or my husband's not here. They're doing all this wrong. And I'm like, not your job, not your job. And it comes back to the idea that, like, unless someone is asking, like we talked about, they're not able to receive an answer.
Yeah.
So every time, and this happens all the time in relationships, we try to fix each other. I still do it all the time. I just got married last year, which is very exciting. And Thank you. And I'm always like, I'm finding, I'll catch myself because I have the awareness of like, ooh, trying to fix that. Ooh, trying to fix that, instead of just giving that person space to be and feel, which is much more freeing for everyone.
Yeah, I would agree. That's a great answer. Do you think the law of attraction expands out into groups and communities or in countries, and even the world? Like this pandemic, did the world attract that?
So firstly, I don't have that much divine knowledge, but I do choose to believe that everything that happens is for us in some way, because the alternative is that we're victims to this world, which is just something I don't believe. So I believe that everything happens in some way for us. And so, yes, on a whole, the pandemic feels like an opportunity, like I was mentioning, to awaken. And it's going to be as we know, harder for some people than it is for other people. Everybody's having all these different individual experiences, all broad range, right? And so, but we always get what we are consistently vibrating, right? And Cassie and I were talking about this on our show, how whatever was our normal kind of going into the pandemic, it's going to like intensify that. So if someone's living in a lot of fear and scarcity and lack, it's going to make it worse for them. It's going to be like, it's just going to heighten, it's going to add to that vibration. And if someone is living in a lot of freedom and openness and love, that's going to expand for them too. It's going to heighten that. It's just whatever is you have going on, it's going to make it more intense.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. How have you found it?
I'm in Austin, Texas. So Texas has been one of the first ones to kind of open up more than others. So
I'm in Florida too, so I feel like we're the same.
Yeah. So that's awesome. And so I've still been going to parks and getting sunshine and going for runs. So I don't think I've been as shut in as people in like New York or something, where they're living on top of each other and they're in these small enclosed spaces. So I think what you're saying, the experience of everything is different for everyone.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say that this is how it is and everyone should do this, because it's like I don't know where people are from, and the rules are different for where they are. So but for me, I think it brought me back to what's the essentials and what's necessary. So it's like I got a roof over my head, I got food to eat, I got a girlfriend, and so we got to spend more time together. And so it's kind of like simplified a lot of my life.
And I think that's one of the most beautiful things that's happening. So many of my clients are experiencing that as well. Like oh my gosh, I get to work from home, do what I want, when I want. Like, it's like amplifying freedom for them, because now they don't have to go to the office, and more of the extroverted people are finding ways to like connect. And you have this beautiful platform that you get to connect and share, and that is fueling your truth, right? Like your opportunity to share and do what's important to you is more opportunity for that.
Right. Yeah. And I'm thankful for that. And I just feel bad for the people who are actually struggling and don't have, the resources and everything that they need to succeed. And so send out good vibes to them.
That's right. And how you send out good vibes is by being true to you, like living your life fully. Yeah.
And so for the people who maybe are furloughed or have lost their job, how can law of attraction help those people right now?
I mean, that's a very broad question. It depends like where you're at with understanding the power you have to create. So we were on a call yesterday with the group of women that I work with, and one of them said, oh, hey, I got furloughed, in the past month. And she's like, but because she's trained, because she understands how to manage all this, she was like, yeah, I didn't freak out. I tuned into this. I focused on this, blah, blah, blah. And out of the blue, a recruiter called me and wants me, and I got hired, and they're making me an offer, and it's more. So everything is always just an opportunity for us. It doesn't matter whether there's a pandemic or not. People get laid off and lose their jobs all the time. Yes, it's happening more, but it just means it's just an opportunity, and it's how we choose to respond to that opportunity that is going to predict the kind of experience we have or what we're creating.
Yeah. And what about the money question? How does everyone attract more money into their life?
Well, if you want money, you're going to have to talk to my co-host, Cassie. She does her whole platforms on manifesting more money. So you'll love that. But in general, it's the same principles, right? So we can't attract. So you want to identify, how do I feel when I have lots of money coming in? Okay, I feel free, I feel abundant, I feel like alive and excited. So same thing with the job. If that experience is up here and we are feeling scared and desperate and whatever, like negative, worrying, we can't attract the different vibration, because there's too much space, there's too much separation in those frequencies. So same thing, we have to find a way to focus in a way that is, and even if it's one thing, we have the power to start to focus in a way to get closer to those feelings of freedom, of empowerment, of excitement, things like that. And so it's so much training the mind. It's so much like being disciplined and making choices about what you're focused on. And I think the biggest thing is, like, people just don't realize they have a choice in that. They're like, yeah, but my bank has no money, so I'm going to feel bad, right? But you have a choice. And until you start to make that choice consistently, your experience will never change. Like, it will never jump up. Even if you get a bunch of money in, if you don't change your vibration, your thoughts about money, how abundant you feel, or like Cassie says, your money story, your entire experience will never change. That money will go. Then you'll be back to where you were. It says everything is a reflection of your thoughts about it. It's so powerful.
Yeah. So the main thread is I need to change myself and my thought patterns, bringing more awareness to how I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And once I know how I'm thinking and feeling, then I need to create that new story. I need to create that new empowering story about my love life, my career, my bank account.
Yeah.
And so
exactly.
What was your introduction to law of attraction? What was the first time you heard about it?
When I was pretty lucky. Like, my parents had me in these like mind training courses when I was 9 years old. Like, who knows? I never knew it would be such a huge part of my life, but, and I would use it throughout sports. I was an athlete, and I would do visualization and things like that. And so I was kind of familiar with, like, we have some power, some control, and able to choose our thoughts and focus. And then I was traveling in, 2009, I was in Australia traveling around, and I loved it. And I came across a book by Abraham Hicks. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're big law of attraction people. They were in The Secret. And then when I read that book, it was called The Power of Emotions, or The Astonishing Power of Emotions. It was just like an instant click. So I was like, oh my God, this is it. I get this. And I had some challenging relationships in my life, and I didn't understand. I felt like I was being such a good, happy person and a nice person. I didn't understand why people were responding to me in mean ways. And so, or what felt like hurtful ways. And so reading this book really helped me like get it. Oh, I was putting out this, or I have this belief about this. That's why this is happening. And so I just read, that was my first introduction. And then it clicked, and I started living it and talking about it. And it was just fun. It was inspiring. This is like that natural joy thing. It's very LOA story, because my friends then would eventually ask me questions about this. Oh, Ginny, like, well, what's the law of attraction perspective on this? And I'm like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And then one of my friends just randomly said, you're basically my law of attraction coach. And this is in 2012. And I'm like, what is a law of attraction coach? You mean I could get paid to talk about law of attraction and help people learn this? Sign me up. And so that's kind of like how I got into it. It was very just natural progression.
And did you have anyone on that journey with you, or did you just start reading yourself? Did you have a mentor or anything?
No, in 2013, I took a coaching program, like a certification. And that helped me kind of like get set more in how to start a business and start coaching practice. But all the LOA things I've learned have come from me reading or listening and then applying in my own life. And that's the biggest thing. People always come to me, they have the knowledge. They mostly have the knowledge, the intellectual knowledge of law of attraction, but they're like, I don't get it. How do I use this? How do I use this in my life? And so that's kind of that missing little piece that I help people step into and apply, so that they see it in their life, so that they know and that they feel that empowerment.
And so if somebody comes and works with you, what's a session look like, or what's the first one? How do you I guess, what's a course go like?
So over time, I've kind of put together working with people, understanding what the process is and what they need to really step into it and get it. I put together kind of this 5-step system. And it kind of goes in 3 phases. So I work with people in a group or individually right now. And it's the first phase is really about like getting out of your own way and learning the basics. Okay. So that's that thing we talked about, developing your awareness, understanding how you're feeling, because before we have that, we can't do anything. And one of the biggest things we do is we really stop trying to manifest, because a lot of people that come in are like, I've been doing this, I've been trying and it's not working. And I'm like, great. Okay, let's stop that. Stop that way. And then just with some like deliberate focus and really releasing resistance is how we term it. And that's that first phase. And then the second phase is about clarifying. So getting clear on, hey, what is it you want? And there's kind of a key formula in here, because people sometimes get too specific and that creates more resistance. So I've worked out a formula to help people get that kind of sweet spot of clarity. And the most important thing there is understanding who you're going to be. Okay, because your beingness is like your energy. So like I mentioned before, we're not just trying to manifest stuff or things. We are really we're really focused on becoming who we want to be in that process. And that's that like deeper level manifesting. And then the third phase is about stepping into that person that you've clarified. So it's like you make it practical in your life and you start being that person. And one of the kind of 2 differences I find in manifestors is how some people want to manifest things, and then some people want to manifest a life, and they have very different outcomes, right? Like if you just want to manifest a thing, you 100% can, but if you want to manifest a life, like that's where you get the fulfilling stuff. Mm-hmm. I was like thinking about my process, and like when I was just thinking about this a couple weeks ago, when I first created the vision for my life and the timing, I was like, how fast do things happen? Because people always ask that. And all the parts of my dream life that I had envisioned or set out at that time. So that was back in 2014. And when I got really clear about where I was going in the life I was creating. And all but one of them have come true. And it's kind of been like, this dream came true this year, that dream was the next year, that dream was the next year. And here I am 5 years later, truly living my dream. Now I'm just waiting for, we just bought a house in January and it's beautiful and I love it. But my dream house is still that one that's on the list and it's coming. And it makes sense why it's not here too. You know, it's not something that I'm sitting waiting for. I know it's coming. Mm-hmm. It's just the timing of where life is right now.
Yeah. So as you're writing out your dream life and all the things that you want, if you have a few things on there, and then you're like you're manifesting and you're checking these things off your list. It's got to be a great feeling.
It's the best. Like when you're a part of your creation, like we're here to be creators. We're not here to just sit back and take what comes. We have this incredible power to like be deliberate about what we're experiencing. I'm so passionate about it, as you can see.
And so that's like a full cycle of manifesting or your original dream. So then do you go back and start at the beginning again?
Kind of. I mean, your dream expands as you move along. So I have new dreams now, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like, we never get there. We'll never stop wanting things. It's part of being human, and it's fun to want. Listen, it's fun to want when you believe you can get it. It sucks to have desires if you don't believe you can get it.
Yeah. So for this next round, are you challenging yourself more because you have more self-belief and confidence in yourself, and then you're going after bigger goals, or
Definitely.
is it like a different type of goals that you have?
Because what's cool is that because I have done it this way, like everything's been kind of connected to my truth. So it's nothing crazy. It's nothing totally out in left field. It's just a bigger version, you know? So my first was to start a business, to be successful in a business. Now it's to like, okay, let's reach thousands and thousands of people in the business, you know? Okay, then now let's reach million. Now let's get into schools. So one of my like secret big long-term vision goals is to get this stuff at least into teachers, like understanding how they're relating to their students. But starting to get this into education. Like imagine if we learned this in school.
Yeah.
It would be mind-blowing, like self-empowerment. We would have so many more happy people in the world.
Yeah. I think definitely the school system, I've heard a lot about reforming the education system, but it doesn't seem like anyone makes ground or progresses when they try. I don't have any kids right now, so I don't know what it's like currently. I just know what I went through.
Yeah.
And it was like I had to just self-educate myself right after school to try to, you know, really learn how my brain operates, how my body operates. And it was like you're not taught, you're taught how to memorize random facts that you can Google.
And please your teacher and get good grades. Like, yes, there's some important things that we learn in school, but it could be so much more powerful.
Right. I think the only good thing is we're kind of all on the same level. So everyone went through it. And so, so really, if you want to succeed or be successful, then you have to continue to educate yourself, continue to seek out knowledge and be curious. Like the law of attraction is a way to think and operate and attract things and have goals in your life. And so I think what you're teaching is very admirable and is well needed in this world. Is there anything that surprised you as you're learning it, or what did you have the most hang up on as you're learning the law of attraction?
Some of the biggest shifts I've made obviously have been in relationships. So living this way has been like, it's all about being empowered, right? It's all about taking responsibility for your life and then learning how to get what you want, the experiences you want, but that it's possible even. That's a huge part of it. And so much of that, I mean, it's all about us. It's all about us. And I think that's been the most surprising thing, is just constantly growing into, oh yeah, that's my responsibility too. Oh yeah, that's like, okay, yeah, that belief was getting in the way there. And it's not about like, oh, the workforce doesn't pay well. It's not about this location is awful to live. We want to blame the outside so much.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest thing I learned, that I keep learning, is that there's always something within me that's like creating that, or that's a match to that. So I always have something to switch or refine or open to, that is going to be more in alignment with what I want.
Yeah, that brings to mind a book by Jocko Willenick called Extreme Ownership.
Yeah. I love that title.
And it's all about taking ownership and responsibility, and and not putting the blame on your boss who won't let you do the creative thing that you want to do, or you're taking ownership for the project, so you're going to do it how you want to do it, and you're going to live with those results and consequences. And so it's not putting blame, just accepting
responsibility.
Responsibility. So I think that came to mind when you're talking about that, and I think that's a good book for.
I like to call it like, there's a lesson in the stuff I teach called radical responsibility, and that's what it's all about. And I think like that is one of the biggest things that has transformed within me and the people that I'm working with, is that, and it's a constant process, but to release blame. And that includes, so oftentimes when we try to do that, we say, okay, if it's not their fault, it's my fault. And I'm like, well, no. It's not your fault either. Because a lot of people will say, when they learn about law of attraction, they're like, fine, this is my responsibility. Well, then I'm an awful person. But that's not what we're after either. It's removing blame, period. You know, what if we didn't have to blame anything? What if it was just okay?
Yeah.
Is
there so kind of just a random question, is there a small item, probably like under $100, that you really brings you a lot of value in your life?
That is so random. Is this like something I manifested, or just randomly?
I mean, you could have bought it off Amazon or at Walmart.
I mean, I feel like there's a number of those things. Let me think. I don't know if I can come up with something off the top of my head like that. A mug. I love my coffee mugs. So that would be something that feels like it's very connected. Like when you get to sit and have that time for yourself. This isn't one of the ones, but this is one of my favorites because it's very law of attraction. I do what I want.
I do what I want.
I get what I want. I started saying that earlier, like very early in the LOA journey. I get what I want. If I want it, I get it. If I want it, I get it. And you start to like program that belief within yourself.
Would you consider that an affirmation?
Yeah.
And is that part of the law of attraction? Do you teach people?
Definitely. Yeah, how to make powerful affirmations, because a lot of people are making affirmations that they're not connected to, or that don't resonate or come from their truth, right? So you can manifest whatever you want, but it's a lot easier when you're connected to what it is you want, you know?
And is that something you help people come up with the perfect affirmation, or do they come up with their own?
Both. So we work on it together. There's a process, and it all depends, again, comes back to how they feel about it. And one affirmation isn't going to work for you forever, or maybe even for a long time. You have to pay attention to how it feels to you when you're saying that. affirmation. But there's things I started saying years ago that now are true for me, in evidence ways, in physical ways. Before I was living my dream life, I would say my dreams are coming true. My dreams are coming true. And now I experience my dreams coming true.
Yeah. So as we wrap up here, I'd like to end more positively. So what's something positive and light that, brings joy to your life right now?
I live in Florida. So during this time, so I am from Canada. I grew up north of Toronto. And so this has been a dream this is one of my dreams, to live in a place that's warm all year long. And so I've been really appreciating this weather here and the opportunity to be outside when we have to be home so much. So that brings so much joy to my life.
That's awesome. Well, I want to thank you, Ginny, and commend you for all the hard work that you're doing to spread positive vibes and to get people to open their mind and to believe in themselves and to actually go after their dreams and manifest their own life. And so I want to thank you for everything that you're doing.
Thanks so much.
How do people connect with you? Where do they go online to?
They can, I'm on, Facebook, Instagram. I have a website. And if you just Google Ginny Gane, GINNYGANE, my stuff will come up and you can find me there. Best way.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Blake. It's been awesome.